Laurel, which means new order of the world. So in other words, they're telling you they're creating a new world order. But in order to create this new world order, they have to destroy the old order. All right? Even if you look at Shadal, and it's kind of blurry here that you can't really see it. But here, if you look at here, this is the star David, they say. They connect these stars. When you go home, check out your dollar bill. Just look at it. When you connect the star, you can see it. You can see the image, right? But there's a lot of stuff on there. There's another one in the ribbon. It's the words e pluribus unum, which means out of many one. So out of many countries, they're going to create this one world order, this one world government. Okay. All right. So this, something that I showed you before.
Guido von List believes in renouncing
how much the occult plays a part in our modern society.
This.
All right. So the lady on the right, her name is Helena Blavatsky. She was an occultist, and she came up with this 10-point plan for a new world order. Her and her student, whose name was Alice Bailey. All right. But once you see the plan, and this was like, they talked about this around the time of World War I, World War II. All right. But now watch.
Was the same aim of Madame Blavatsky and her Theosophical Society. And it was also the same aim of Madame Blavatsky's occult successor, Alice A. Bailey, the founder of Lucis Trust, an occult organization that currently has its headquarters within the United Nations.
It used to be called Lucifer's Trust. And then they changed it to Lucis Trust.
Shorten it down so you wouldn't recognize, huh?
The objectives of this organization, Lucis Trust, have been codified and embodied in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the United Nations Charter. Alice A. Bailey, the founder of the occult organization Lucis Trust, developed 10 strategies to establish a new world order. These strategies are, number 1, push God out.
So the first one, push God out of the schools. If the people grow up without reference to God, then they will consider God irrelevant to day life. In the last 50 years, this has happened. God is irrelevant to most people. All right. And I saw a video a couple years back when they talk about how much atheism was growing, and how a lot of people were turning away from the church. Okay.
Of the schools. If the people grow up without reference to God, then they will consider God irrelevant to day-to-day life. In the last 50 years, this has happened. God is irrelevant to most people. Number 2, break.
So number 2, break the traditional Judeo-Christian family concept. Break communication between parents and children so that parents can't pass on their spiritual values to their children. Do this by pushing excessive child rights. Okay, and that's what they're doing.
You know, I was going to say when they had that picture on the dollar bill with the top cut off and kind of like separated from the rest of the body, it kind of like exemplifies cutting off the head of the family.
Wow.
And you know, you separating, causing a splinter, you know, between the family.
Absolutely. So the thing is this, like it's at school, like parents can't even come up and chastise their children because it's a threat to call DHS on them, right? So they don't want the kids to see their parents as an authority or to see the adults as authorities in the building. They only want the state to be seen as an authority.
Okay, right.
Oh yeah.
They get incarcerated. That's another.
Yeah. Right.
Control.
Okay.
But beating a child, like with a stitching cord.
Yeah, that's abuse.
That's abuse.
That's abuse.
Punching them until they, Bleed, that's abuse too.
Right. But see, the thing is that we're not looking at abusing a child.
Right.
You chastise.
You correct it. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Discipline.
Discipline. Right.
That could be punishment, right?
Right. There's a lot of ways. Yeah.
Different people have different styles.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes you got some of them kids that'll really try you.
No.
They will really try
They
you.
will really try.
Right.
Put
Absolutely.
their hands up.
Right.
The smaller
was
the
that biblical verse, spare the rod, spoil the child.
exactly.
Right. But you know, some of them, look, I see it firsthand. I'm in the
you right there
32 years. Right. I'm in the trenches.
32 years?
Yeah, 32 years at the same school. You know, watching, you know, these kids grow up
and graduate. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I noticed too is certain kids, or I could say certain people, have certain natural dispositions,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what you try to say or do, you know, their natural disposition is just going to be prominent.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because I always tell people when a child comes into the world, is innocent.
Exactly.
It doesn't know anything about this
Mhm.
world.
Yeah.
And then you also think about sometimes when we have these women when they're pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and the things that they consume while they're pregnant.
Mm.
What effect is that having on the baby? Some of this music that we listen to.
Exactly.
All of this stuff, right?
And the food.
Right. The food,
Right,
all kinds
right.
of
It's a
stuff.
combination. Yeah.
Right. The drug abuse,
Oh yeah.
alcohol, tobacco, whatever. What kind of effect is that having on your child?
It has had some type of effect.
Right.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Absolutely. Right.
The traditional Judeo-Christian family concept break communication between parents and children so that parents can't pass on spiritual values to their children. Do this by pushing excessive child rights. Number 3, remove
restrictions on sex. Sex is the biggest joy, and Christianity robs people of this. People must be free to enjoy it without restrictions. It's not just for married, it's for everybody. And that's why you see this big push on sex.
Yeah.
They're sexualizing our children, everything. Okay?
Media.
Yep.
restrictions on sex. Sex is the biggest joy, and Christianity robs people of this. People must be freed to enjoy it without restrictions. It's not just for married, it's for everybody. Number 4.
Christians, don't they also preach fornication and adultery?
I mean,
You mean preach against it?
Yeah, they preach that. Yeah, that you shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what they're saying. They're saying that. See, a lot of this is based on these occultists who are trying to attack. Right.
Okay.
Okay. But you know, but this incorporates Muslims too.
Right.
Anybody who believes in the God and His guidance.
right, the basic 10 commandments
There you
holds
go.
up in all 3 major religions.
Absolutely. But
You know,
yeah. But see,
Yeah.
Allah tells us in the Quran in paradise you'll see Christians, Jews,
And
Muslims.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's right. So the thing is that we're supposed to be working together against this common enemy.
right.
But they have us divided.
Hmm.
Right? That's what we talked about last time. Division. All right? So we can't come together. So Allah says, work together. And on the day of judgment, I will judge between you.
Right. That's where that slanderer comes in at,
There you go.
to turn us against one another.
Right. Well, not only that,
And it's right.
but his thing is, okay, like a slanderer, when somebody slanders your name, they're destroying your reputation.
Right.
Right? So this is what Shaitan is trying to do with us. Destroy our name in front of the Creator. To make us look like we don't deserve, the position that He has given us. Right?
Or, since sex is the greatest
Since sex is the greatest expression of man's enjoyment of life, man must be free to express sex in all its forms. Homosexuality, orgies, even bestiality are desirable, so long as no one is being abused or harmed.
So what year was it? This person came out with
This was
that?
back around either World War I or World War II. I gotta look at the exact date.
You know, just yesterday I was watching the news and they got this big gay pride thing all weekend here in this city.
Oh, yeah,
they got this big 600-foot rainbow flag they walking around with, and they got different events all this weekend, Gay Pride Week. So this just goes to show you that what they're saying right here,
right? But this
it's been implemented,
right? And they push everything that we see here,
the
orgy, all of that stuff,
right,
through their entertainment, through their program.
This is
bestiality.
Isn't that harmful?
No, brother, that's sex with animals.
Oh, that's sex with animals.
Sex with animals.
Oh, I'm thinking about the other one. I'm thinking about what's that lady with me?
Oh, you talk about that? Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But
but it all fits into that.
It's into that too.
The free
form not being abused.
See, it says sex in all its forms.
In all its forms.
Right.
There you go.
In all its forms,
all
right.
Of that stuff.
Right.
The perverted sex, all of that stuff.
And you see it now in the society. You know,
see it
Sodom and Gomorrah all over again.
I mean,
and worse.
But it is
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff on some of these television things that's on television.
Right.
You just be like, huh? What the heck is this?
Yes.
Horrible. But what is it doing to our minds? You know, we sit here and look at it as just entertainment, but it's not just entertainment. They are programming you to accept and normalize these behaviors.
Right. That's not normal.
That's not normal.
Right.
I seen a movie the other day. They showed two elderly men kissing.
See, they don't think we're gonna have to answer when the law call them back, and you know they're gonna have to answer for their deeds.
The thing is that when they die or come close to death, and that veil is starting to be lifted, they're going to start to see the true reality. When you come face to face with the true reality, then that's when you know you're going to wish you had lived righteously as Allah has told us to.
Expression of man's enjoyment of life, man must be free to express sex in all its forms. Homosexuality, orgies, even bestiality are desirable so long as no one is being abused or harmed.
And I remember, like with our youth, you know, a young girl telling me that they would go to abandoned buildings and have group sex in abandoned buildings. Okay, so this is how youth, right? This is youth. I'm talking about grade school kids.
Oh, I'm thinking about junior high, high school.
Oh no!
Wow.
You're talking about 6th or 5th graders.
The stuff that they're seeing and they're consuming is becoming normalized to them. And they think that this is the stuff that they feel is all right. Because a lot of them are watching pornography. Right?
I mean, look at Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
You know how they used to have his mansion and all the women running around. They were doing the same thing, but we seeing that with Puff Daddy.
Absolutely.
Same exact thing. You know.
So Rashid, you said it's reducing down to the single digits where children are indulging in sexual acts. Like,
I'm gonna show you something. But the thing you gotta think about what they're consuming. I went to a couple of kids invited me to their proms for the last few years. I go to their prom sing-off, and the music is so sexualized.
Yes, it is. I mean,
there's so much violence and stuff in the music.
Exactly.
And you got little kids running around out there. We had a what we call a fun and fitness day, right? Where basically the whole school's out there. We're doing these activities, you know, and we had a DJ out there. So somebody was like, "Hey, Mr. Abdul, can you go tell the DJ to, you know, to cut down some of that music?" I was like, what are you playing? He said, listen. And I had it was the old John from the what's the one with the Seven Dwarfs, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Whistle while you work. Well, they changed the lyrics. Whistle while you twerk. And that's why that's what they was playing out there, and all of these little kids.
See, that industry know what they're doing. You know, it just goes back to that. Remember that old story with the Pied Piper?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, he leading the mice. You know, yeah, he playing the music and leading the mice right where he want them to go.
Now, what he did was they hired him to take the rats out.
Yeah.
Then they didn't pay him. So then he did it and let their children out.
Mm-hmm.
Their children. Okay, that was the story of the Pied Piper. And I remember telling the kids that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Number 5.
Number 5. People must be free to abort unwanted children. If a man can have sex and then live without the consequences, then the same should be true for a woman too. A woman must have the right to abort an unwanted child.
Now, see, that's when you try to play God.
That's
murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's murder.
But it's normal.
You're out of pocket with that.
But it's
you know, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that what they want to do is get in women's head that, oh, they can be just like men. They can have sex and don't have to deal with any consequences. Right? So they say, hey, look, you know, you can do the same thing. You get pregnant, just go have an abortion. And it's big business. Abortion is big business. Right? But the thing is that they were saying, I was looking at something where it was talking about what's the leading cause of death in African Americans. A lot of people talk about heart disease, diabetes, and all this stuff, but it was abortion.
Really?
It was abortion. Right?
People must be free to abort unwanted children. If a man can have sex and then live without the consequences, then the same should be true for a woman too. A woman must have the right to abort an unwanted child. Number 6, every person develops soul bonds. So when a soul bond wears out, a person must be free to divorce. When one starts to grow, one must be free to get together with that person, even if they're married. So it's the pushing of adultery. Right? They want people getting divorced, and they want people committing adultery. All right, so these are things that they are pushing. Bonds. So when a soul bond wears out, a person must be free to divorce. When one starts to grow, one must be free to get together with that person, even if they are married. Number 7.
So number 7, diffuse religious radicalism. Christianity says Jesus is the only way. To diffuse this by A, silencing Christianity, and B, promoting other faiths, the creation of interfaith harmony. So there's no issue with creating interfaith harmony, right?
Diffuse religious radicalism. Christianity says Jesus is the only way. Diffuse this by A, silencing Christianity, and B, promoting other faiths, the creation of interfaith harmony. Number 8,
Now, they said number 8, use the media to influence mass opinion. Create mass opinion that is receptive to these values by using TV, film, the press, etc. Note well what Western believers call normal in the African church would be pornography. Right? But this is we see everything.
And when they made that, they didn't have social media.
Yeah. But
so now you add that to that list.
Yeah. Add that to the list. Absolutely. Right? And now, and with social media, you got people that they've designated with the name influencers.
Right.
Influencers.
How about that?
Right.
The media to influence mass opinion.
And the thing is that a lot of times the political parties would go to these influencers to push their campaigns and their agendas.
The influence has to be followers.
Absolutely. They was pushing them to get people to take the COVID shot.
Yeah. Even what my man say, drink bleach.
Yeah.
How about that one?
Whoa.
Create mass opinion that is receptive to these values by using TV, film, the press, etc. Note well what Western believers call normal in the African church would be pornography. Number 9, debased.
Number 9 was debased art in all its forms, corrupt music, painting, poetry, and every expression of the heart, and make it obscene, immoral, and occultic. Debase the arts in every way possible. So corrupt the arts, right? The music, the painting, everything.
Poetry.
Right. Corrupt everything. And put immoral and occultic messages in it.
Art in all its forms, corrupt music, painting, poetry, and every expression of the heart, and make it obscene, immoral, and occultic. Debase the arts in every way possible. And number 10.
The last one. Get the church to endorse every one of these 9 strategies. Get the church to accept these principles and to say they're okay. Then legal grounds is given for these values to get a foothold.
Right.
Get the church to endorse every one of these 9 strategies. Get the church to accept these principles and to say they're okay. Then legal ground is given for these values to get a foothold.
Now, what did Margaret sing?
So
She said, "Get to the Negro preacher."
yeah,
Push abortion. She
Right.
started what they called the Negro Project. That later turned into Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
they actually get the church, and the 9 things that we hear, but it has to be settled though.
Oh, absolutely.
It's real settled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not
But
only,
some-
it's not only settled. I mean settled, subliminal too.
Mhm.
So they'll
Mhm.
It's deceptive.
Right.
They
Right. 'Cause they know most people don't read.
Most
So they can
people
just tell
don't
them
read.
whatever they want.
Yep.
So without reading, when they look at it, is they're taking it in without even knowing it. That's
Right.
where the
Mhm.
seduction comes in. Subliminal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about some of that too today.
I mean, to think that. Well, I think it's in a higher form though. Because we was informed about subliminal seduction back in 1975.
Oh, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some stuff.
Some current stuff.
Oh yeah, it's pretty advanced. All right.
I was always curious how advanced it is.
So this is a quote from the movie or the book Lawrence of Arabia. It says, "The dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open